Hey house kids, Eric here. Today is Saturday, August 8th. We are just cruising through summer. And at the end of this month, Sunday, August 30th, we are going to have another really cool outdoor kids event for you guys, just like we did a couple weeks ago in the end of July. It's going to not be Christmas in July because it's no longer July. It's now August. So we are going to do snowflakes in the summertime. So hope to see you there. Can't wait. In the meantime, we got our lesson. We got the cool microphone. And this lesson is a really big lesson. So I'm going to kind of breeze through some of it real quick because it would take way too long to go over it. This lesson goes through Exodus chapter about 5 all the way through chapter 12. So there's a lot here. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and read that at home, Exodus chapter 5 through 12, and you can get way more detail from that. You can read it with your parents. There's also the Bible story video down in the description below. There's a link to Robin's craft video and then to a Dropbox, which has all of our printouts, which I'll go over in a little bit, and the Bible story you could watch. So we left off with Moses being called by God to go and rescue the Israelites, God's chosen people, from the Egyptians who had them enslaved by that evil Pharaoh. So here we are. Moses goes to tell Pharaoh, hey, God said you need to let his people go. And what ends up happening is Pharaoh's like stubborn. He's like, no, I'm not letting your people go. And so God ends up putting plagues down. Plague is like a really bad event. And I'm going to go over these plagues with you, but I'm not going to go into full detail on all the back and forth. You got to read that with the plagues, because what ends up happening is every time a plague happens, the Pharaoh freaks out, obviously, and says, please remove this plague. I'll let your people go. And then God removes the plague. And then Pharaoh goes, never mind, just kidding. I'm going to keep enslaving your people. He's a big fibber McGee. He's lying every time. So it goes back and forth every single time until the 10th plague, when finally God got Pharaoh's attention. And Pharaoh did end up saying, you can have your people go. So the plagues, let me run through them real quick, are the first plague was the Nile River. Remember I told you that's like the main river where everyone got their drinking water. They washed their clothes. They did anything with water they needed. They got it from the Nile. It turned to blood. That was the first plague. So that's crazy. And then the second plague was frogs. Now you're thinking like frogs, what's the big deal of frogs? But there was frogs everywhere. I mean, they were covering everything. If you had this in your bedroom, there'd be at least 50 frogs in your bedroom, maybe 100. They're just everywhere. They're jumping on you. You probably couldn't sleep at night. It was frogs was the second one. The third one was gnats. Now gnats are, you know those little tiny flies? They look like little black specks, and they'll kind of fly around a little bit, you know, outside over grass, you know, in like these little swarms. But there was gnats everywhere in this plague. I mean, it was thick. Everywhere you went, it was like a giant cloud of little gnats. So you were even like breathing them in. Horrible. The fourth plague were flies. These weren't like little flies. These were good-sized flies. They would even bite people, these flies, and they covered everything. The livestock, people, flies everywhere. And the fifth one was a plague where all the livestock, like their cows, their sheep, their goats, all the Egyptians' livestock got diseased and started dying off. But it was just the Egyptians. All the Israelites' livestock was safe. The sixth plague was boils. Now, when I say boils, I'm not talking about, you know, heating up water or liquid till it boils. These were spots all over your body which were inflamed and raised, and they hurt, and you looked like you had a disease. They're just boils all over the Egyptian's body. That was the sixth plague. The seventh was hail. And if you don't know, hail is like when it's so cold out that rain drops turn to ice on the way down as it's raining. So you'll have these balls of ice just coming down. And sometimes you can get big balls of hail. Sometimes they're little teeny ones. Here in San Diego, it's not that cold, so we'll get hail, but not very often. This was the worst hailstorm they've ever had in Egypt. It was if there was animals outside or if people went outside, it was so bad it would kill them. So that was the 7th. The 8th was locusts. Locusts are grasshoppers, all right? And you might think, oh, grasshoppers aren't that bad. But they come in swarms and they devour all of their crops. You see, back then there wasn't grocery stores. All their food they grew to eat. And so it was getting all eaten by these locusts that came and ate all their food. And then there was the 9th plague, which was complete darkness. And when I say complete darkness, it's not like, you go outside at night and maybe the moon's out and you can still kind of see things. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see the stars, the moon. Everything was totally black. If you had your eyes opened, you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. It was like your eyes were closed even though they weren't. And that went straight for 3 days. And then came the 10th plague. And this whole time, Pharaoh was very stubborn, and he kept saying, nope, I'm not letting the Israelites go. I am not going to do it. The 10th plague was God was going to send an angel to go and kill all the firstborn sons in the land of Egypt. That's crazy. But now here's the thing. God told Moses to tell his people, I have a way to save you from this. And he had a certain procedure, a thing that they needed to do. He said, every family, every Israelite family, I need you to get a lamb. And I don't want this to be a bad looking lamb. It can't have like a broken leg or weird spots on it. It has to be a perfect lamb. And I want you to kill that lamb, sacrifice that lamb, and you're going to have a meal with your family. And you know what? If there's other families that maybe they don't have a perfect lamb, because maybe they're a little bit more poor, you're going to share with that family, and that family will eat with you. So everyone will be able to partake and have in this dinner from this lamb. But he also told them, he said, I have an instruction for you. Take the blood from that perfect lamb and paint it over the door frames of your homes. And that way, when the angel goes through at night, if he sees the blood of the perfect lamb over a door frame, he will pass over that house. He will not go in that house to kill the firstborn son. And so that's why it's called the Passover. That's why they still celebrate Passover to this day. It's celebrating God saving his people from the Egyptians and from the firstborn sons being killed. So when this happened, all the Egyptians, you could hear them at night crying because all of their firstborn sons had died because they were disobedient to God, and they kept enslaving God's chosen people when he said to let them go. And finally, Pharaoh, that was it. That was the last straw. And Pharaoh was just like, get out. That's it, Israelites. He realized he's fighting God and he can't do this anymore. So he told the Israelites to finally leave. Should have done that a long time ago instead of having to go through all these plagues, but that's the way the Pharaoh was. And so the Israelites were able to pack up all their stuff and leave. And that's where this part of the story ends. But we need to focus on the important piece of this, is that, and I mentioned this before, is that God is just in a continual rescue mission. He's always rescuing us and his people because he loves us. He knows that we have sin. He doesn't want us to have sin, but we do. And he's always rescuing us, like he did with Jesus Christ. And we got to remember, with Jesus Christ, he's known as many things. He's known as King, right? He's also known as the Lamb of God. And the reason why he's called the Lamb of God is because of this part of history with the Passover. You see, there was a perfect lamb that had to be killed to make sure that the people inside were safe and that they weren't killed, right? So this lamb was sacrificed so that the people could live. And just like us and our sin, we deserve to die. Jesus is our Lamb of God. He's the perfect one that died on the cross so that we could live with him forever in heaven. That's why he's called the Lamb of God, right? So this story of the Passover and God saving the Israelites from Egypt is a perfect picture of Jesus Christ, who hadn't even come yet, many, many years later. It's exactly like that. So we could be thankful to the Lord that we have Jesus and that God is always rescuing us and that we can be with him forever. Thank you so much, God. So that's a great story, the story of Passover. Again, you want to get more into the detail of the Pharaoh who's so stubborn all the time and like, I'm not letting your people go. Read the story, Exodus 5 through 12, and also you can watch the Bible story video. It's in the link below in the Dropbox. Here's the printouts I have for you today. We got this one's the plague scramble, right? And you have all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the 10 plagues. Now you're going to have to watch the video or remember what I said to figure out what order that the plagues happened in, because you're going to number the plagues from 1 to 10 according to the order that they occurred, right? So we know that the first one I told you was the blood in the Nile, and you can see there's blood in the Nile. And you're going to have to figure out what the second one was, the third, and you're going to have to do that. So that's a fun little cool activity for you. And then we have a coloring sheet you can print out in color, which you can see right here. You've got the Israelites painting the blood over the doors so that they could be saved from that angel going around, right? And it says God delivered his people and proved that he is the one true God. All right? Now Robin has another great craft for you guys. Check this out. It's a door, and you can see there's the lamb's blood painted on the sides and around the frame, and you can open it up. And look, she has in here, it says, death of the firstborn, plague number 10, Exodus 11 and 12. Pharaoh lets God's people go. So you can do that. The video is down below the link that Robin has for you. You can click on that and watch how to do it. These are the templates that you can print out, which will also be with the activity sheet and coloring sheet. And then you will have everything you need to make that amazing craft. Well, guys, that's a story of Passover. It's a very, very important story. So remember that. Miss you guys. Hope you're having a great week, and I will see you next week. Take it easy. Boom.